thank you all so much for joining me this afternoon for this competency exercise. I'm going to begin with a prayer. It's an adaptation of the Our Father from the original Aramaic. The two different interpreters created this. So this is it. O birther of the cosmos, from whom the breath of life comes, who fills all realms of sound, light, and vibration, focus your light within us. May your light be experienced in its utmost holiness. Your heavenly domain approaches. Create your reign of unity now. Let your will come true in the universe. All that vibrates, just as on earth, your one desire then acts with ours. All that is material and dense, as in all light, so in all forms. Give us wisdom, understanding, and assistance for our daily need, granting what we need each day in bread and insight. Detach the fetters of faults that bind us. Loose the cords of mistakes binding us as we let go the guilt of others, as we release the strands we hold of others' guilt. Let us not be lost in superficial things, materialism, common temptations. That is, don't let surface things delude us, but let us be freed from those things that keep us from our true purpose. Free us from what holds us back. From you is born all ruling will. From you come the all-working will, the lively strength to act, the power and the life to do, and the song that beautifies all and renews itself from age to age. Sealed in trust, faith, and truth, we affirm and confirm this with our whole entire beings. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we are going to do a plan for plan the elements of the proposal. What I'm suggesting is that we engage in conversation. It's actually called generative thinking. And at the end, hopefully, we will have a document that we can hand over to our leadership team. And it will be their responsibility to do strategic investigation, fiduciary thinking, and determine whether or not this is something that we may wish to initiate at COS. So my topic is environmental justice, also known as eco-justice, which I like very much. Eco-justice is defined as the interrelated and integrated quest for justice for the whole Earth community. What we're going to be engaging in today is adaptive change, which is defined as any change that requires a change in our fundamental priorities, beliefs, or habits. So the adaptive change that I am proposing is actually a change in our culture from fellowship to hospitality. We are very hospitable. We proclaim that all are welcome, and that is very true. But I think we can do a better job of including our planet and our universe and our environment in that. So what I'm proposing is that we intentionally revise our claim of extravagant welcome to all to radical hospitality that be extended to non-human life forms. The difference being that radical hospitality has social, political, and economic implications, and it can be quite disruptive, just like Jesus was. It is not easy, as John was, the fellow who spoke, Clint, was saying that doing the right thing is not easy. It is with a cost. So this will affect all aspects of our church, including our mission. We are mission-oriented towards social justice concerns, but from this point on, should we elect to engage in radical hospitality, we can no longer think of mission apart from God's mission to all creation. I think we are ethically bound to enter into this process based on the ethical school of situation ethics. As I said, we're going to create this document for consideration by our leadership council. And this process, this generative thinking, is based on the work of Richard Chait, who is a professor at Harvard Business School of Education. He is an authority on governance as leadership for nonprofit boards. And he claims that most boards, or in our case, the leadership council, are responsible for oversight, insight, and foresight. Oversight being fiduciary thinking, foresight being strategic thinking, and insight being generative thinking. But we're doing the fun part. The generative thinking is primarily what if. And there is no suggestion that is too extreme for this process. Hi, come on in, welcome. So our strategic analysis is basically where we are right now. There is a situation, hence the situation ethics. The situation that I think we all recognize is that the earth is in crisis. We are slowly contributing to its demise. Even those of us here at COS who work diligently to use environmentally friendly products. We use china, glassware, utensils. You have to search high and low for plastic in this building. Our conscious consumer group has replaced all of the soaps and cleaning products with earth-friendly products, and all of that is wonderful. I think internally we've done a very good job. What I am proposing is that we consider what to do with the outside of our property. We've done a lot. We no longer use Roundup. That's wonderful. We plant pollinator trees that attract pollinators. This is all good stuff. But there's a lot of space. We are an acre and a half of land. There's a lot of green space that isn't being used that could be utilized. So what I want to do is to get some ideas from you on ways in which we think that COS can use our available space to contribute to hopefully to the healing of the planet, if nothing else, to decrease the damage that's being done to it on a daily basis. Does that make sense to you all? Okay. So let me tell you why I think we're ethically bound to do this. Situation ethics. I know you all are going to love this. Situation ethics basically espouses the importance of people over rules. According to Wilkins, who is the author of my ethics textbook, rules are intended to illuminate rather than direct us. And the key focus of situation ethics is agape love. We know all about agape love. It does not require a response. It is something that we understand. Our pastor emeritus of blessed memory, John Lackey, spoke unceasingly about agape love, which is not exclusive. And most of all, it is commanded of all of us by God. Agape love is a matter of will and reason. The ultimate norm of Christian decisions is love. So I am saying that we need to love our planet enough to make some radical changes. What I'm proposing, it's not just semantics. depending, well, basically, it would be very much, I think, like back in the 80s when we made the commitment to invite the LGBT community to come. I'm very worried that that just went black.
I think it's...
Is that just resting? Chris? Is it? Okay, thank you. Back in the 80s, we made the, as you heard today, we made the commitment to support the LGBT community, you know, and it caused some serious problems within the church. And for years, we were the only show in town. I mean, we were the only Christian community that welcomed the LGBT community. That is no longer the case. We are no longer the only church to do that. So I'm not suggesting that we let go of anything that we've done at all. I am suggesting that during this time of potential change, as we are growing and considering possible expansion to accommodate our growth, this may be a good time for us to be revisiting what our mission might be. And I'm suggesting that this is perhaps the time to take the focus toward eco-justice. Because without our planet, none of the other ministries matter.
True.
And I really think that it's something that we as a community need to seriously consider. I mean, we are known as the gay-friendly church. I love that. I'm thrilled. I would like for us to be known as the gay-friendly green church. You know, I would like for us to be as passionate and recognized for our environmental work as we are for our other social justice work. So what this would entail for me is being very intentional. And as I see it, some of the consequences, and I know I'm not thinking of them all, but for example, no decision would be made without considering the implications for our planet. No decision. From buying copier paper to replacing the roof to purchasing products for the kitchen. I would suggest that because raising cattle is contributing to the destruction of the ozone layer, that we exclude meat from our monthly potlucks, unless it's ethically raised. Or perhaps we all go in and share in purchasing an ethically raised cow, and then, you know, that's an idea. That's a thought. So it has a lot of ramifications. At least I think it has a lot of ramifications. So clearly I don't do this well. In my head, it's all very clear. But when I start to talk, I feel like I'm pulling apples off of the tree from here and there. So if you're missing a connection, please stop and ask me. That's great.
Sheila, would you like for us to talk more about what we could do currently or before, or as we're planning the new?
No, I think that's great. I would appreciate that. So I'll write down ideas.
For the our current situation?
Yeah, let's look at our current situation and see where we could possibly make some changes.
Okay, I think we could consider solar roofs on our
Solar power.
solar power.
Geothermal.
That's a great idea.
Geothermal for the HVAC.
Solar power. Geothermal.
Water permeable paving materials that minimize runoff.
Water permeable. Say again?
Paving materials that would help minimize runoff.
Okay.
could have a community garden. It'd be very easy to have well, I won't say easy. Gardening is not easy, but, on the lower part of our property between, Weisgarber and Lotus in that corner.
Lower part.
Or look for a new, larger property.
Beekeeping?
I like the way.
Well, there's a lot of vertical gardening things that can be done with a small area, but you can grow things indoors, and it's local produced. It can serve a lot of populations.
Vertical gardening.
There's a lot of property that we could do a lot of gardening.
Yeah, inside would be a bit of a challenge right now because we barely have space for people.
Right, but as you design for growing
Yeah,
with a small footprint, then maybe you could integrate some
right.
things.
I heard,
Beekeeping, if someone's knowledgeable in that.
I love that idea, beekeeping, I think it's great.
How many?
How many bees?
Yeah.
I don't know, I know nothing about bees. Many thousands, one queen, I know we need one queen. Beyond that, I'm not sure.
Exponentially increasing numbers.
And then what would we do with those?
To sell the honey for it,
And what would we do with the money?
yeah.
More environmental.
Projects or outreach.
Outreach. Yeah. Green products.
What would we do with the garden goods? We,
Put them in the part of the food thing that we do.
food pantry.
Food pantry, I like that idea.
You can also donate it to the battlefield farms that are trying to,
Yeah,
bridge the gap in the,
Neighborhoods. Food desert.
food desert. But actually, it's a,
That's a good idea. That's a real good.
That's
What
very
about
good.
analyzing our carbon footprint, and I have no idea how to do that.
Analyzing our carbon footprint, excellent.
there are websites where you can do that individually.
I think these are all really great ideas, but in my experience, what's really important, and it takes time, is to make sure, not to say you don't do these things, but that you have excuse the phrase, buy-in. As our congregation is getting older, I notice when we have volunteers to do things, it's very, very few people. When I first arrived at this church, there would be a dozen or more people. It's not a negative, but it's, when you start a garden or you do any of these things, the beekeeping, it's a lot of work and it's good work. But if you don't have buy-in, it can disrupt the church because you don't feel, especially our church, we won't feel good if we
Right.
don't do a really good job.
So we have somewhat of an aging population.
Yes, we do.
However,
We have youth,
We have a lot of young families coming in too.
we
Yes.
have young, interested
That's my
young
point.
people.
Being sure that we engage the youth
Exactly.
in this entire process.
excellent.
Well, there's been something I've been wanting to ask, and I came to visit this church because of its commitment internationally to social justice issues and sustainability and all those things.
Right.
And I wanted to look for an outlet personally. I mean, I do some of that stuff with what I do, but I want to become plugged into a larger movement, as it were, similar to the movement that accepted LGBT people. And right now, there's a book that just came out called On Fire, the burning case for a new Green New Deal by Naomi Klein.
Okay.
And she and Bill McKibben with 350.org are looking at these issues all the time.
Excellent.
And what he points out, I know it's a roundabout way of saying all this, what Bill McKibben points out is that, it's good to recycle and all those things, solar panels on the roof and all that, and,
Right.
but the problems are structural and political in nature. And the solutions need to be structural and political in nature. And what UCC has that's unique is a track record of being politically active on a worldwide scale. And we can plug into that because we've already got our foot into that.
Right.
And I just feel like those are the things where if we care about the planet, I mean, it just blew my mind to hear this morning, you know, the pastor say that, you know, he doesn't feel good about what we're doing for our grandchildren, for our children, and that we need to do more. And you don't hear that in a lot of pulpits.
We are really unique in that regard.
I think another suggestion might be that as we develop our program, our green program, if you want to call it, is that we should start also an outreach program to other communities, to other churches, synagogues, what have you, to propose to them, or we would have meetings with them to propose what we're doing, so that it's not just us, that we can spread this already around.
I like that. I like that. I think that and the structural and the political all
Intertwine.
Thank you. The resident, right, he's an author.
Yeah.
Intertwine and lead back to the radical hospitality. Yeah. Well, these are all good. I'd like to talk a little bit more about the buy-in. How do you think that we might do that?
What do you mean when you say buy-in?
Tom, do you want to say a little bit more about buy-in? Are you comfortable doing that?
Well, that's, you know, I'm not a meeting person, but I'm saying that we can all get excited, and I see that. And I don't know what that would take to be someone that's qualified to take people through a process where they're involved and they feel comfortable to be involved. Because, like I say, there are very few people in certain instances that do with the environment in this church that are really involved.
Right.
I think behind the scenes in their heart and their mind and probably at home, it's happening, but it's not happening here to the degree I think that you wanted to happen. So how does that happen? Someone this is a start, what you're doing today.
The head of the mass conference, Jim Untel, when he retired from being conference head, has devoted his whole time to speaking all over the country on this very subject. I believe he's written a book, but I don't know.
Okay, good to know.
The thing I wanted to put in regard to the buy-in,
Yes.
we have a number of suggestions out there, but you know, they're not all not going to happen overnight.
Correct.
This is going to evolve
Yes.
over time. You know,
Right.
we're not going to have the whole program in place like it's going to be incremental.
This is a marathon for sure.
Yeah. So in other words, I think we just let's take the first step. You know?
Okay.
And let's not get on top of ourselves as we say, well, we can't reach it. You know.
So what would you propose as the first step, Bob?
Well, let's look at the suggestions.
Okay.
I think we should take the ones that are perhaps easiest to do, if there is anything easier to do. Or something that is practical that we can do.
Well, okay. We can always start with education. I mean, we can have presentations out the
I
wazoo.
think that's education might be the one.
We can have small groups. Okay, so we'll put that as number one, education.
Would UT Ag Campus send somebody over for free to give a presentation?
Good suggestion.
And there's community gardens and all, but I can't think of the names.
Ag.
Yeah. But do you think he's ready to, he would be ready to give a presentation.
Sure he would.
Right.
Actually, the state park rangers, I just found out, are willing to come and look at our space and say, this is what you can do with this to
Wow.
Fantastic.
Perfect.
That's the best of
make
all.
it an environmentally friendly place where we will have birds and bees and flowers and trees. Nobody mentioned
Yeah, trees are
planting
really
trees, but
important.
I think we need some more trees,
Absolutely.
not to shade the gardens, but
Okay, state
There is-
park rangers, we'll do a, what would you call it, what did you call it, survey, assessment?
mhm.
There was a young woman who came a couple of years ago, daughter of Ann and whatever his
Dave
name is, Hake, who gave a wonderful presentation, had
Oh,
a
Laura.
number of books, and I thought that would be our next reading, and it never went anywhere, so call her up
Yeah.
too.
So who's gonna do all this?
You are.
Another
Well, I
committee
think-
or three?
I think what we have to, obviously, we come up with some ideas here, some perhaps plans, then we have to have a follow-up. I mean, we can't just leave it here today. It's gotta be perhaps another meeting, or, and maybe we will, maybe select or vote or appoint
Yeah.
willingly or unwillingly, people, to put in certain positions, you know?
We have an environmental justice team,
We do have an environmental justice
which
team.
seems like a good beginning.
Yeah, maybe we could join with them.
I think some of those long-range ideas would be part of the long-term growth, you know, especially looking towards the likelihood of adding to the church. You know, that's all. Those things up there are certainly part of that, even though you know, those weren't specifically mentioned in some of the meetings we had.
Mm-hmm.
Those dollar signs you just put there is things really, people always do that, and I wish they would do it as put a little down arrow next to it.
Because it's gonna ultimately
It's
decrease.
gonna end a lot of times right away too.
Okay.
And everyone's got this idea that, oh, we're gonna spend more money for that. No, you won't. It's, you know, you fund it the same way you fund any building, and it saves you money from the very first time you do it, and once your return on investment has been achieved, everything after that's money in your pocket. So
Yeah.
that's just the rule.
And I own this, I did just step out of the generative thinking model into the fiduciary thinking model, which is not the purpose of this, but we do automatically go to that. Well, let me tell you about oh, I'm sorry, Denny, go ahead.
Well, I think another way for the buy-in part, we had a very successful Clinton study on White Rivers.
Yes.
And I think some of the books that the gentleman in the front, I haven't met you yet. but-
Brent, is it?
Yes, Brent. That's
Brent, this is Brent.
And I couldn't hear all what you said, but I know Bill Gibbons and the 360 group, I mean, that's a good place. We might find some, materials there for, an Advent study, and that we'd have time between now and then to do some planning and to create a model that we want to follow
Right.
as we go through these.
I'm pretty sure the UCC denomination has a green church.
I was gonna talk about that.
Okay.
I have it here. This was going to be one of my recommendations that we hand off to the council, and a lot of what we're talking about here is strategic in nature rather than generative in nature, because it's very tempting to get into the strategic because it's fun to me to think about all of this. What we're going to be doing is coming up with a proposal to hand off to the council to consider. But yes, the UCC has a designation for a creation justice church, and it's a process similar to the O&A process that we went through. And that was going to be one of my recommendations, that we formally go through the process so that we can be designated as a green church. I'll read this very quickly for you, that what the creation justice churches do in the program: congregations collectively discern their high calling to care for creation and seek justice for the oppressed. They make a commitment so serious and so sacred that it necessitates talking about God's covenant with us and with all of creation. Congregations not only become recognized as green, they become a part of a larger network of churches and a larger movement to change the world. They engage in critical thinking about the socioeconomic dimensions of environmental justice, such as race, class, and global inequality. They foster a deep sense of connection to God, to each other, and to the world in which we live. They unleash their imagination and creativity as a sense of purpose propels them to make a difference. I got really excited when I read this, and there are very clear guidelines. So I absolutely encourage us to include this in our proposal to the Leadership Council, that we engage in this process. Here's another thing that I thought, Joan, how are we doing on time? Just out of curiosity. Halfway?
You have,
No,
well, more than this 124, you need to go to 150.
Okay.
35 minutes.
Okay, we can do that.
Seal?
Yes.
I'd like to go back to the outreach to other churches.
Yes.
There is a model from this church, the Lindquist Environmental Appalachian.
Leave.
They created a notebook with materials in it and a video about mountaintop removal. They approached churches that we probably would not ordinarily think would be interested. They were more conservative churches. But when you talk about creation and creation care, a lot of the more fundamental churches are, I guess I'm using that correctly, bought into it. And so there was a whole network when the issues came up before the state legislature, that there's a telephone tree and people would get on the phone and call their local legislators. I think it missed passing. Just, do you remember, Mark? It was not very many votes.
It wasn't a lot of votes. It did. I think finally get out of committee. Yeah.
And I think it passed that mountaintop removal on anything below 2,500 feet was outlawed. So that model is here.
I think I may have it in my house. I have a bag of leaf-related material that was given to me by Dale Lyles. Wow.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So that's excellent.
another way to get buy-in from other congregations.
Excellent. Okay. How might we involve our youth in this process of buy-in? It's not my population, but I'm just throwing it out there. I know you have a young son, so you might have some ideas.
Yeah. Matter of fact, my nephew's providing the entertainment for our talk right now in the next room, apparently. It's on the piano.
Oh, is that who that is? Well, he's very good.
Yeah. So I'm sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
Go retrieve him if I need to. Well, I don't know. It's almost like we need to figure out. You know, they're the ones asking the question. How can they get us to be involved? You know, I mean, Greta Thunberg, after all, was.
Yeah, I love her.
You know, she started the entire movement worldwide in the same way we saw with gun control issues, you know, in this country.
Parkinson's, yeah.
And I mean, we just, you know, they're already involved. You know, what baffles them is where are we? You know.
Yeah.
Why not, I'm sorry, but why not people that are really knowledgeable mentor the kids? If, you know, the kids don't know how to do certain things, and people, adults like me who know anything about how to do this, could sit in too. You know.
I think they would just ask the youth.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
One of my thoughts, yes, Tom, I'm sorry.
No, the simple answer to that in the beginning is walking the talk.
Walking the talk.
How long what speed do you drive? What's your attitude behind the steering wheel? How long is your, and I'm not criticizing myself. I'm criticizing myself, so how long is your showers? And I could talk for an hour about all the things that are just, you know, if we think back about our moms and our dads and our grandparents, what are some of the good things that we have acquired in our habits.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
That goes.
What really is the model
Right out behind the piano.
is like, to me, it's like World War II. They said, the country really came together because it was a national emergency. Well, this thing is bigger than World War II.
I am so glad you mentioned that.
And the country, as I say, that one time when the country really came together, and everybody was for us, in terms of doing what we had to do. I mean, kids collected iron, everything that was usable to get iron, steel, and you name it.
Tin foil.
Everything, and the kids chipped in, not only at that level, but I mean, it was a unified effort. Now, I'm saying we can't go from here to that, in a couple of days or overnight, or even a couple of years, but that's as important as it is. I mean, it's a far bigger threat than World War II.
I agree, and you could have written the textbook, because one of the authors talked about how we rallied in the 1940s to fight, all of us, to fight World War II, and that it's going to take that much of an effort, if not more, to fight this. It's quite overwhelming if we think about the big picture, and that can just lead to apathy, which is not a good thing. But there's a lot that we can do here. Hey, Alex, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Okay, you're the representative kid, okay? And sorry. So we're talking about environmental justice and getting buy-in from the congregation to change the way we live, what we do with our green space. Do you have any suggestions for how we could get kids involved in that? Like, we've talked about wild things like beekeeping and planting more trees and having gardens. Those are some of the things. Education, which I know you're really thrilled about, I'm sure. Vertical gardening, analyzing our carbon footprint. How would we engage youth in that process, do you think? Not to put you on the spot.
You can get them to do things, but there has to be a reward for them to want to do it. But yeah, so the things that you have, they're pretty good. But you just brought me into this, so I don't really understand what you're saying, because you just, I know that you want my input, but what specifically?
Okay, if we came to the youth and we said, we have to do a better job of taking care of our planet, okay, as a community. And we do a fairly decent job. We don't use plastic here. We use earth-friendly cleaning supplies. We use glasses and utensils and dishes. We try not to use too many disposable things. We control our thermostat now so that somebody like me can't come in and turn the air conditioner way down, even though I would like to, so that it's more energy efficient. And then we talked about wanting to expand our efforts out into our green space. And we were just brainstorming ideas of what we might do. Here's something that no one mentioned. How about having some goats or chickens?
That's a great idea, goats.
If we have a goat or two, we don't have to mow the lawn. Yes, Elaine?
Goats aren't allowed.
Goats aren't allowed.
According to, we need to change the rules. City council, county
No
council,
goats?
whoever regulates livestock.
Goats will also eat everything you don't want.
Kudzu.
I mean,
The garden.
The garden, yes.
Flowers in the
A few
garden.
years ago,
Yeah.
what happened?
I'm mirroring for you.
Yeah.
Nothing's off the table. I still like the goat idea, although I understand.
So,
Well, one thing I've noticed with Alexander is he watches a lot of YouTube videos that other youth have put together, usually being funny but also explaining things.
Cool.
And right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's educating himself all the time, and the young people are educating each other, making their own videos that blow my mind. and they do it that's just what they do. You know, it's no big deal, and they make video games that have a theme that they play, and you know, it's fascinating to watch the way they explain things to each other and the way they see life, you know, and they are politically charged, you know.
Then how about we turn that around and have the youth teach us how to buy in?
What do you think? Makes music videos and train us about the climate and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
You teach us.
Yeah. Yes. I deserve things.
The other.
Well, Alex,
there's plenty.
Not to put you on the spot or anything, but is there something in what you're seeing that the older folks are just totally missing the mark on? Or is it something that needs more emphasis that we aren't seeing?
Well, no, like you see stuff, and yeah, like, you see a lot of it, and then when you want us to see stuff, we see what you've seen, so we just go along with what you do. But yeah, you're doing nothing wrong. You're good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that leads us to the question of, you know, we all know what sanity is, you know, and what would be the right way to behave.
Can I have this pepper?
Yes. You can have every pepper in that box.
Just include one pepper.
But I don't think that the political system we have, at least in our country, sort of operates in a way that we would consider sane.
Well,
you know, we don't really have the ability to, we don't really have access to our political system anymore in a way that allows us to pursue some of the most logical, justice-oriented policies that would allow everyone to live in harmony. We don't have that kind of political power.
So perhaps we could look at identifying an appropriate person within our community and support them running for office.
Sounds like a plan.
Gotta start somewhere.
Yes, Denny.
A little bit closer to home. Most of you are aware of Justice Knox and the process to identify the next problem that Justice Knox will address.
Yes.
In the House meeting that Linda and I had, we were surprised that Make Knoxville Green came up almost with every person there. I think we had 14 people there.
Wow.
I thought it would be homelessness or more about housing but we were astounded. Now whether that emerges as the Knox justice issue for this year, we don't know. But I think there, at least that representation in our congregation, there is an interest and concern.
I think nationally, I think we're reaching, and we may have reached already a tipping point. I mean, the fact that you're having this little thing here today, I mean, is an indicator of, I think it's on the back of everybody's mind. What's the point in, going to Harvard for 4 years? You may not be around, you know what I mean?
Right.
Couldn't go to Harvard anyway, but, that's the thing. I mean, it's gotta be, and also, there's nothing that we can do. I mean, but when the large corporations begin to realize that there's money in this, there's a lot of money to be made in this.
Some of them are good.
What I read somewhere, or somebody, don't quote me on this, but it's something like 4 or 5 large corporations contribute to the largest portion of pollutants. Excuse me?
May I escape?
Yes, you may. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Oh, he's fine. No, he's fine.
I want to point out that people who have gone above the earth, the astronauts, pretty much all come back with a completely different view of the earth. They see it as a unity, not individual chopped up countries. And I think pretty much all of them have written books about it. They just have a different a sort of a cosmological feeling for this earth.
Yes. So, space travel. Get your tickets now. Let's see. Visioning, we're doing a good job of that. Well, let me talk about one thing that I was thinking of, and I'd like to get your feedback on this. I was thinking of proposing that we create a deacon of sustainability for COS, who would have a hand in, I haven't thought this through, it just keeps coming back to me, and I don't know how it would play out. That would be for the council to figure out. But someone whose ultimate responsibility would be ensuring that our desire, our commitment, our intentional commitment to radical hospitality touched every piece of decision making in life at COS. So I'm thinking it would be someone on the council, but someone who would be engaging with the other deacons. Do you think that's, give me some feedback on that. What do you think? Yay or nay?
Sounds great.
Somebody's got to carry the ball. I mean, it'll these great ideas will die on the vine if somebody doesn't spearhead it. I mean, that's what he was saying, buy-in.
Right.
But you still have to have a leader.
Right.
So I mean, that's a good start.
Yeah.
Tom made a point that space is filled with junk, and so is the ocean. I mean, isn't there something that we can do about that?
That's styrofoam.
Okay, do you have any suggestions, Rusty? No, you may not, that's fine. I'm just, I think you have a very valid point. Is that something that we could do as a community, that we could address?
You can buy a bracelet. I don't think they're very expensive, like $1, and all that money goes to people that are removing
Right from the
the
ocean.
trash from the oceans.
My sister actually
No.
bought a whole bunch for their grandchildren. Sure.
No, the thing that I worry about is that we will overstep the mark here for what we started today. In other words, that's a huge, obvious problem. I don't know what the heck we could do about it, but can we not concentrate on what we've come up here for our beginning?
Sure.
You know, and then we can see where we go after that. Again, through
We might start with the Tennessee River since we live on it, not
Great idea.
Tennessee goes to the ocean.
yeah, that's a good idea.
That's,
Well, I think there's different sort of cubby holes we can create, I suppose. We could say things that are related to our church family here on the lot.
mm-hmm.
You know, how do we use this land that we are on?
Right,
And also, can we use that to influence others
right,
by what we do?
right.
But then there's another one which is more about global politics, in the same way that the Christian right joined with Ronald Reagan to create the mess we're in now. What can we do to reverse that? And we can. If he could do it, we can do it. You know.
Yeah.
So that's the second topic, and then the third topic is just you're straight down the middle of the road advocacy for sustainability. You know, things like, can we help get the oceans clean? Can we help reduce global greenhouse gas emissions? Can we, you know, all those things.
Okay.
But there's to me, the religious political nexus is something UCC is uniquely positioned to address. And we can participate in that, but we can't be it by ourselves.
Right.
But we can manage what we do on our own property by ourselves. That is those are two separate things.
Yeah, they are.
One is really, man in front of me.
Brent?
Yeah, sorry. But, you know, it's also what a lot of problems have come out of the breakdown in this church-state business. In other words, the church has gotten far too sects of the church, or some portions of it, the church in general, have really invaded the political process.
Well, Ronald Reagan came to
back to
power
what you were
by,
saying.
he came to power by joining with Jerry Falwell. And then suddenly the pulpit became a political system.
Yeah, exactly.
And ever since then, then the Discovery Institute tried to figure out what all the wedge issues are that can get people to vote against their own interests.
Exactly.
And so UCC has been pushing back against those wedge issues all along. And we're the only, as far as I can see, the only real powerful church that has been on the right side of all these issues all these years.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. I wanted to share one quote with you, and then we have about 5 minutes. So it's a quote from Thomas Berry, who is a Catholic priest, very involved in the eco-justice movement. And he says that from an evolutionary point of view, humanity is entering a new era, which he's calling the ecozoic age, an age in which ecological issues will dominate our global life together. And he argues that creating a sustainable environmental lifestyle on the planet is the great work of our time. And I agree. So let's name quickly, based on what we've said here, things that we would like to include in a proposal to give to the council, to the leadership council. Pursuing creation justice church certification through the UCC. Okay, anything else?
A beacon of
Sustainability? Okay.
green our church further than we already have. Talking about the property here.
Right. Okay. And the big one, which would be the cultural change, is shifting from being a welcoming community to a community of radical hospitality and all that that entails.
Defining that difference.
And defining the difference, okay.
But make it both and instead of either one.
Well, yeah. Well, radical hospitality includes it all, though.
I understand, but people are gonna have until they understand.
Well, it might be they think we serve strange food, you know?
One example of radical hospitality I observed this morning as I came to church, a congregant had a tissue in her hand with a stink bug, taking it outside.
Is that Pam? Judy? Yep. It includes everything, all of God's creatures. Okay. And I'm gonna put in or. Actually, I'm gonna change it because it has to be a radical change from one to the other. I hear what you're saying, but for this exercise,
Sure.
radical hospitality. I don't know.
How about some sort of catchphrase? The one I remember from the 70s is shower with a friend.
All right.
Save the day.
Okay, any idea? Any suggestions? It's okay if you don't. I do like the idea of a catchphrase, though. We can work on it. But
Get
I
the
like
youth involved.
youth involvement,
Maybe they can come up with a good catchphrase.
right?
Seem to be good at that stuff.
And I will say, this is pursuing this creation justice church. A lot is going to happen through that process. This is not something that's going to happen in a week. It's going to take a lot of effort.
Seal, do you think that like the growth process you've gone through recently would involve, having weekly meetings that the people could attend to share their, various ideas, because that was a good process towards, looking ahead to, future growth. And if you're, pursuing that in the same way that the O&A process was pursued, that you would start to get everyone involved
Right.
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
mean,
think,
once,
yeah.
Going to council will be the first step, but,
Right.
I see that as, coming down the road and
Right.
really getting everyone's involved.
Yes, I agree. I think it's just important for the purposes of this exercise that this is all good. This is the issue. This is the change in culture.
Yeah.
It's going to hit our pocketbooks in a big way. If we really adhere to this, there will no longer be bananas for our Sunday treats, because
Boy, that's,
bananas, well, they're not grown locally, first of all. They're not grown ethically. There is no reason on God's earth why a banana should cost 29 cents. Maybe $2.29, but not 29 cents. That's part of the educational piece. I don't think I've eaten a banana in 3 years. Since I
the
took,
destruction of the earth that they took place to grow them.
that's right. And the peoples whose lives were affected,
Stole pineapple.
yeah, big corporations.
So even the organic bananas? I don't
Yeah,
know.
there are ethically raised bananas, and they can be purchased, I think, at the food co-op, the name of which I never
You
remember.
can take a two-step
Three
process.
Rivers.
The first one is awareness, like what you just described, but
Yeah.
that could be awareness of every single thing we do
Yep.
and experience
Yep.
is potentially a problem to a varying degree. Once we have an awareness of the greater and lesser risk that we're taking, I think we'll be in a position to start just allowing ourselves to look at trade-offs and choose the better option,
Right.
as opposed to saying, no, we don't do this, and having all kinds of prohibitions. We'll be in a better position to say, well, here's what we can do.
Yes.
And then life is just as blessed, it's just blessed in a different
Different
way.
ways.
We're blessing it with a local fruit rather than a banana.
Right.
That one of our parishioners brought in, because we helped him with his farm, that kind of thing. I mean, it's
Absolutely.
it's just a different way of living in the moment.
It's living in the moment. It's a completely different mindset. It's a different way of thinking.
Well, we
Maybe actually-
boycotted grapes for years to support
Yes. Yeah.
that movement, so.
And sometimes boycott, an outright boycott is the way to go.
Yep.
It's just that I just think looking at the big picture will help us figure out what the little picture needs to be.
Right.
There may be
Good
some materials out there that address exactly that, where, this is the reason not to buy X product, but a good alternative is
Right.
this. I know that for fish, there's
Right.
a large list of fish you shouldn't be eating.
Yeah.
There's, and making better choices along that line if you choose to eat fish.
And we will never reach perfection in any of this, and some days you just have to eat a banana. I mean, you can't
Well,
beat
and
yourself up.
More to the point is not eating a banana, but allowing James Inhofe to say that, climate change is a hoax, and allowing us,
Right.
be there for decades and decades, in positions of authority. He's not our congressman, but I'm just giving an example of the type of person we have. We have all kinds of people like that in our state and federal legislature from Tennessee.
Yeah.
And we are allowing them to continue doing what they're doing the whole time we're eating bananas or refusing to eat bananas because it's wrong. And it's just, we're, letting us destroy the planet while we refuse to eat a banana, to me, is a little bit of a political mistake. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah, the bottom line there is vote.
Vote, vote, vote.
yeah,
Right.
but don't vote the same guys in, have been in there for so long. I mean, the thing that amazes me, is just that, and I lived in New York most of my life, but to keep on voting against your own issues, it's just crazy.
The
I
work
know
will
we can't
never
turn that
end.
around.
We shall know perfection only in heaven.
If there is one.
Another topic for another day.
Yeah.
I'm very aware of time, and our time is up. Is there anything anybody wants to say before? Yes.
The Green New Deal, has everybody in here read it? Can you get it off the internet?
I'm sure you can.
But I just,
Green New Deal.
Never heard of it.
All right, you all, we're gonna turn off the machine, and
Bubble machine.
I would say a self-checklist, having some sort of presentation, and then having things to write, to check off. I do this, I don't do this.
right, great idea.